Hey guys, what's up? Max here with a new endgame analysis video for you, and this is the last of the simple piece endings. After this we will be moving on to pawn endgames, which are slightly more practical and definitely more likely to arouse in your actual gameplay. In this ending, the king and two knights versus king, a win cannot be forced. The king and two knights may by means of lengthy maneuvers drive the enemy king into the corner of the board, however, mate is not possible without the help of the opponent. Although black's king can only alternate between the squares g8 to h8 to g8 etc, white has no way of crowning his material advantage with a mating attack. An attempt to further restrain the black king, for example, knight to e7 or knight to h6, leads to stalemate. In case of king to f7, king to h7, g5 check, and king to h8, white drives the enemy king into the corner with tempo, only to become aware of the genetic reason of failure. That is, the knight on f5 cannot simultaneously prevent the escape of the king via h6 and checkmate the king at h8 on the following move. The knight on f5 occupies a light square, hitting only dark squares. As a consequence, it requires an even number of moves, at least 2, in order to direct its attack at h8. As the black king is already stalemated, white has no time to perform this maneuver. You can see we are covering these squares. This is why the ending is drawn. One last try might be to try to catch the black king napping. For example, knight to g5, king to g8, knight to h7, king to h8, knight to d6, knight to g5, king to g8, knight to h7, king to h8, knight to d6, king to g8, and knight to f6, check. If now black forgets that he can access the square on f8 and continues with the stereotyped king to h8, then knight to f7 will be mate. However, after the correct king to f8, knight to d5, king to g8, knight to e7 check, here again, if white forgets that he can access the f8 square and instead plays the stereotypes king to h8, knight to f7 is checkmate, king to f8, white has to accept the fact that the position is drawn. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. I know this was a short one, but coming up we have much more meaty analyses for you, and ones that you can actually use more likely in your upcoming online, due to the coronavirus, games. And then after this pandemic is over, hopefully you can use some of the information that you'll gain later in this series in some over-the-board tournament games. Coming up next we have pawn endings, and then some knight bishop endings, after that minor piece endings, then rook endings, and to finish off this series in many months' time, we'll have rook and knight versus rook and bishop versus rook, as examples of more complicated endings, and then queen endings at the end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.